In this video, we're going to be going over more customization for our cards or tasks, how we can communicate within cards or tasks, as well as how we can create a template from our specific board that we're using. First, let's look at customizing our tasks further. So in this case, let's go ahead and create this task out. We'll go ahead and add the due date like we just did in the previous video and a start date. So we'll go ahead and add it like that. Go ahead and save it. We'll add a label for graphic design. We'll call this one card number 4, and we'll make this a create contact us graphic for a website, assuming that we're working on a website project or something similar. And in this case, let's go ahead and explore building out and creating a checklist. So here we could build out a checklist and click add. And what we can use these checklists for are essentially subtasks within one task. So for example, if we had a more complex task, in this case, let's say that we were creating graphics for entire website. We might have a checklist within this card or this task for each specific graphic that we have to make for this website. So essentially a checklist is very, very useful if we're wanting to expand out a task and add essentially different subtasks beneath that. So we could use, for example, create graphic for homepage, create graphic for the About Us page, assuming that we have a graphic for each of our pages. And let's say for Contact Us page, and let's say create a graphic for, let's say, terms and conditions page. So in this case, we're assuming that this task for this card covers creating graphics for an entire website for, let's just say, a website design project. And here you can see we've created a checklist of exactly what needs to be done in this specific task in order to complete the entire task. So it's kind of like adding a bunch of different subtasks or tasks below the main task. And really, you could even think of it like how Trello says, kind of like a checklist within the task. So once we've gone through and we've actually completed each of these different subtasks, or we've ran through the checklist items, we can go ahead and mark these as complete just like that. And as you can see, it's a great way to prevent your board from being overloaded because you can create your different cards or your tasks. And below that, you can really expand out the cards and the tasks, and you can keep your board very, very simple, very, very clean, organized without necessarily overwhelming your entire board with 20 or 30 or 40 different tasks. You can create like a very large task that encompasses a lot of different areas and then create each subtask or checklist item directly within the task here. That's the checklist part of Trello, fairly simple. Now let's move into adding attachments. So if we want to add an attachment to the card or task, we can go ahead and click attachment here. Now let's add a file. Once you find the file that you want to upload, go ahead and click open like that. And we can see here that we've uploaded the file. It's said success here. And we can see here it successfully uploaded specifically the graphic or the image that I've chose. Now you can add a wide variety of different files. You can add PDFs, documents, whatever you want to add here. Additionally, if you need to add any sort of like Google Drive link or Dropbox link or Google Docs link, you can just grab the link for your specific file that is on some sort of online storage site, again, like Google Drive or Google Docs, and then you could add that file link directly in here as well. It's very useful if you're building out processes especially, and it keeps things very, very simple. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at just this attachment. And now I'm going to show you how to add comments. So here on the right-hand side of our task or a card, we can go ahead and add a comment, or we can @, someone. So I could add a basic comment like starting work on this task now, and then clicking save. Or I can also communicate with others. So in this case, if I want to someone and get their attention on this task or leave some sort of comment specifically for them, I could go ahead and press the sign like that. And I can go ahead and them just like this by selecting their profile. And I can go ahead and type in a comment. I could say, hey, when do you think you can start working on this task? So I can get their attention and ping them. And this may send them an email or a message within Trello that they've gotten a comment on this specific task. That way they can give me an update when they're actually going to start working on this task and let me know when they're thinking of starting to work on this. So I can go ahead and click save, and you can see here that I added them just like that. And that's the simplest way to communicate through Trello. There's other ways that you can do it, but again, this is by far the most simple way. And I want to show you what this task looks like at this point, because you could see here, we've added this image here. So now it's populated the board with this image. We've added this due date. We've added 2 comments. We've added an attachment, and we've also added the checklist item as well. So in this case, this task would most likely be in progress since we've already started on the checklist items and completed them. And since we've completed all 4 of the checklist items, we might even move this to done and click complete just like that. Just with this specific card or task, we covered our checklist here with these 4 example items or subtasks. We covered how to add attachments. We covered how you could add links if you want to through the description. And we showed you exactly how you can add comments. And we showed you how you can people in order to communicate on different tasks directly within this board. The last thing that I wanted to show you in this video is how you can create a template from your board. Let's say that you've created an amazing board and you have a bunch of different templated tasks that you've thrown in here, and you plan to reuse this board for multiple different boards, multiple different clients, multiple different teams, or multiple different projects. Whatever your business use case is, templates can be the best way to keep things very simple and start reusing your boards across multiple different use cases. So for example, if we use this board for say a web design project and we were a web design company, we might want to make this board a templated board. That way we can add all of our different tasks in here. We can add our different descriptions, how we do things, what tasks need to be completed, and then we could create a template from that and then continuously reuse it for every client that we make a new website for. So you can see templates are a little bit more advanced because you have to go through and you have to create all of your cards, you have to create all of your lists or your columns, you have to add different descriptions and files, and you have to add your different checklists or your subtasks, and you have to make sure that the different types of due dates are removed. There's a lot of different things that go into actually building out a solid quality template. But I want you to be aware that if you need to build a template, it's not necessarily very, very hard. It's just time consuming, but it's very, very useful if you do a lot of repeat projects, especially if you're in a business like social media marketing, web design, whatever it is, where you're working with a lot of clients, and they'll really enjoy that you have a specific project built out specifically for them based on a template that you use that doesn't take you long to just create your new project from the template, add the client there, assign out the tasks, assign out due dates, and then move on from there. So it's a great way to really systemize your work. Once you have all of your cards and everything and your lists and your columns in order, it's very simple to make the template. It's just time consuming again to fill everything out. But if you want to make a template, go ahead and go to the right-hand side, click these three dots like this, and from there you'll click make a template just like that. So from here, we can click the make template button. And you can see here that this is a template for members of Trello Workspace to copy. So we can create a board from this new template, and we have this template in case we ever want to reuse it. So let's say that we wanted to create a brand new board for a new client with this template we just made. I could click create board from template, and I could say something like web design project, let's just say clients, construction company, whatever their business name is. So very simple. I could do that. Same thing. If we had created a template for, let's just say a operations for IT department help desk. If we create an operations template, we could really name it whatever we need to name it. We can name it. In this case, I'm just going to reuse that web design project, and then I could create it from there. And you can see very simply here, it's created the exact same project with a different name, with a template and all the different cards or tasks that we built out. To recap, in this video, we showed you exactly how you can build out checklists within Trello cards or tasks, how you can add attachments through either local files from your computer or by adding different links directly to the description or comment within each task, how you can add comments within each Trello task, how you can use Trello for communication by adding people within each task. Lastly, we covered how you can build out templates from the pre-existing boards that you have within Trello. In the next video, we're going to be going over some different tips, best practices to use, and mistakes to avoid when you're using Trello and when you're using various types of boards to complete your work.